Talent can give you a head start, but it's not enough to win. This is the story of Rohan, a student who struggled with math while his friend solved every problem effortlessly. But Rohan had something stronger than talent. He had determination, focus, and the power of consistent practice. Today you'll see how he turned his weaknesses into strengths and became a champion. This story will show you why effort always wins over natural ability. If you're ready to stop comparing yourself to others and start building real skills, this story is for you. Watch till the end to understand how dedication beats talent every time. Rohan was an ordinary student in a bustling city high school. From the outside, he seemed like any other teenager. Quiet, a little shy, and often overlooked by teachers and classmates alike. Yet inside, he carried a burning desire to excel in mathematics. Unlike his friend Aryan, who solved complex problems effortlessly and always topped exams, Rohan struggled. Numbers seemed to dance on the page, formulas tangled in his mind, and word problems felt like puzzles with missing pieces. He often wondered if he simply didn't have the gift, and considered giving up more than once. Rohan's parents noticed his frustration. They encouraged him, saying, "Talent may give you a head start, but consistent effort will carry you further than talent alone." These words resonated, yet the temptation to compare himself to Aryan and feel inferior was strong. One afternoon, Rohan sat at his desk staring at a math problem he had failed to solve 3 times in a row. His notebook was filled with scribbles and corrections, but he made a decision. He would not give up. He would focus, practice, and train his mind, regardless of how long it took. The first step in Rohan's journey was realizing the depth of his challenge. While Aryan could glance at a problem and solve it, Rohan needed to break it down into smaller, manageable steps. Initially, this gap frustrated him. He'd stay up late trying to memorize formulas, but the solutions never came naturally. One day, their math teacher announced a regional competition. Aryan immediately signed up, confident he'd win. Rohan hesitated, doubting himself. "What if I embarrass myself?" he thought. Yet something inside told him, "This is the test that will define whether I give in to talent or rise through effort." That evening, Rohan created a plan. He divided his problems into categories: algebra, geometry, probability, and logic. Every day, he would tackle one category, starting with the concepts he understood least. He knew he couldn't compete with raw talent yet, but he could outwork anyone. Rohan also began observing Aryan, not to compare, but to learn. He noticed how Aryan approached problems methodically, didn't rush, and often took mental notes even after solving them effortlessly. Rohan realized that practice wasn't just about repetition. It was about learning how to learn, focusing attention, and mastering small skills before tackling bigger challenges. The first week was grueling. Rohan would wake at 5 a.m., review formulas, solve 10 problems before school, and then attempt another 20 after classes. His hands cramped, his eyes ached, and many times he wanted to quit. One evening, while attempting a tricky geometry question, Rohan's pencil snapped in frustration. He slammed his notebook shut and muttered, "Maybe I'm not cut out for this." But then he remembered his promise to himself. He picked up the pencil, took a deep breath, and tried again. Slowly, methodically, he solved the problem. That small victory, a single completed problem, ignited a spark of confidence. Every day, Rohan documented his progress. Mistakes were not failures, they were lessons. He wrote down why a solution didn't work, what pattern he overlooked, and how he could approach it differently next time. Over a month, the pile of unsolved problems began shrinking. Rohan's friends noticed the change. "You're spending so much time on math," they teased. But Rohan didn't mind. He began to feel the quiet satisfaction of mastery, understanding something deeply after persistent effort, rather than winning through natural ability. Even Aryan noticed Rohan's dedication. "How do you manage so many problems every day?" he asked. Rohan smiled, realizing that effort itself was beginning to close the gap between them. It wasn't talent, it was consistency and focus. Just as Rohan began feeling confident, disaster struck. The weekly test at school brought a problem that completely stumped him. Despite hours of preparation, he left half the page blank. He felt crushed, questioning whether all his effort had been in vain. His first instinct was to give up. He thought, "Maybe I really am not talented enough." But Rohan remembered his guiding principle. Effort compounds over time, while talent alone can fade without practice. He also remembered the words of his parents. "It's not about never failing. It's about learning faster than you give up." Rohan spent the next day reflecting. Instead of avoiding the problem, he dissected it line by line. He researched, asked questions, and practiced similar problems until the concepts finally clicked. This was the turning point. Rohan realized setbacks were not indicators of failure. They were essential steps in the journey toward mastery. By now, Rohan's routine had evolved. He was no longer practicing randomly. He had adopted 4 deliberate methods. Number 1, set a clear goal. Each week, he targeted specific problem types. Number 2, focus without distraction, phone off, no social media, no multitasking. Number 3, chunking and repetition, breaking down complex problems into smaller steps and repeating them. Number 4, reflection, writing down mistakes and lessons learned. Slowly, Rohan began noticing improvements. Problems that had taken hours now took minutes. He could visualize solutions in his mind before writing them down. More importantly, he started enjoying the process. The quiet satisfaction of mastery that talent alone had never given him. At school, Rohan's classmates began asking for his help. Even Aryan admitted, "You've really improved. I don't know anyone who works this hard." But Rohan remained humble. He knew the real victory wasn't beating Aryan. It was proving to himself that focused practice could surpass natural talent. The regional math competition arrived. Rohan's heart raced, but he felt calm. He had done everything in his power to prepare. Talent might win, but preparation was his true weapon. The first round was tough, filled with problems he had never seen. But Rohan tackled each with a methodical focus he had trained over months. Step by step, he solved what seemed impossible just a year ago. By the final round, Rohan was exhausted, but determined. He glanced at Aryan, who looked as confident as ever. But now Rohan didn't feel intimidated. Talent alone could never match the depth of his preparation and discipline. When the results were announced, Rohan's name appeared first. He had won, Not because he was naturally gifted, but because he had trained his mind relentlessly, focused without distraction, and practiced until he turned weakness into strength. Rohan's story is a reminder that talent is only the starting line. Practice, focus, and persistence define the finish line. Through daily effort, deliberate focus, and learning from setbacks, Rohan transformed himself from a struggling student into a champion. The lessons he learned extended beyond mathematics. Discipline, patience, and consistency can be applied to every area of life: sports, art, work, or personal growth. Talent may open doors, but consistent effort keeps them open. The student who trains his mind will always surpass the one who relies on natural ability alone. Rohan's journey proves one simple truth: anyone can achieve greatness with a focused mind, dedicated practice, and the courage to persist, even when the path seems impossible. If this story inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit like to support the message. Subscribe for more motivational stories every week. And don't forget to share this video with friends who need encouragement today.